Okay, well, welcome back to the All of That to Say podcast. I feel so refreshed and ready to go because we had time with our family. We had our New York trip and we talked all about like our dreams and goals with the podcast. And so I'm ready. And I think we both have, like, I am at least excited about my podcast to talk about this week. So I'm ready to go. Sam, how are you? How was Thanksgiving?
I'm good. I am still living on a high after our New York trip. It was so perfect and so beautiful. And like, as two friends that are obsessed with New York and you a Christmas in New York girly, it was so perfect. We matched each other's energy the entire time. I genuinely think this is like my first girls trip where there was like no like arguing about doing anything. It was like, are you tired? Do you want to go change into our Christmas pajamas? Great, let's go do that. Like, it was so easy flowing. I don't know.
We were on the same page the whole time. I know.
It was perfect.
I was only slightly worried about the fact that we were going late November and it was like right before Thanksgiving, but I was like, what if we get there and it's not like as Christmassy as we want it? Because we couldn't go in December because like our schedules are just too busy. But it was perfect. Oh my god, if anybody is like worried about going in like the last 2 weeks of November, like you have to go. All the displays were out. The weather was still perfect. It cooperated minus like raining for 2 days, but like it wasn't freezing. And yes, a girls trip where you match each other's energy is perfect. Like I feel like both you and I are early night out, early night in kind of girls. And absolutely. I won't apologize for it.
It was so perfect. And let's talk about our viral moments. I went viral for the first time. You went viral. We have to talk about it.
We do.
And we have to.
Saying viral is like, but like low key. Because, okay, I cannot remember who talked about it, but they said something like, oh, like she has like maybe like 1 million followers. So she's like not that big. It's just so funny how like it's like skewed because like back in the day, like YouTube era, someone would go viral and they would have like 1 million views. But now it's like, oh, I don't know. But yeah, I had a video hit over 1 million views for the first time ever. And all it takes is me and Sam going to New York once for us to get views. But talk about your video. Which one popped off?
Okay, well, I have two right now that are going crazy. I will say the first one was Gossip Girl. They were filming at the plaza and they had the Christmas trees up and it was just so
the palace, right?
What is it called? Palace. The palace.
Yeah, that's okay.
Confuse them. But I did like the Gossip Girl Serena trend and all of the things and I just thought it was like the perfect moment. I've always dreamed of it. Me and Josh are rewatching Gossip Girl, and so when we were on the subway, or no, what were we on? We were on
like a city bus.
Yeah, city bus, and we drove by, and I was like, "Oh my god, we have to go back!" And I
did a double take.
The most Christmassy part of our trip. It 100%. Was like the most Christmas like decorations. There was like 4 or 5 trees that we were able to see. And it was just so beautiful. And so it was so fun to like go viral with you because you're the queen of TikTok. And like, it was just so funny because I remember I posted it and I was like, whatever, I have no expectations. This is just a cute video for me. Yeah. And then we watched the numbers just climb and I was like, oh my God, I'm so famous now.
It's like fun to get the notifications. Like I've been posting on TikTok, like not consistently, but I've been like, when I first moved to Austin, I would post like week recaps just because I was like, oh, this is a fun diary to look back on of what I did throughout the week. And so like, I just have been like throwing stuff at TikTok just to like post, but like it is always fun to be like, oh wait, no, this is like, it's a fun creative outlet and like an art. And then when you like start getting comments and like views, it's like very fun. But yeah, oh my God, like I was so impressed with, is it the Lot or the Lotte Hotel Palace? Do we know?
I actually have no idea. I have no idea.
Yep. But we were recommended to go there and like that was like probably I would say lower on our list because we were like, oh yeah, if we see it, like we'll maybe go. Yeah. But then when we were like on the bus to go to Central Park and I pointed it, I was like, oh, there's that place that we were recommended to, and you were like, wait, that's the Gossip Girl place. And so we like immediately went, and yeah, it was so pretty. Like the Christmas music, they had like spiked drinks, Christmas beverages. It was the most Christmassy place in New York, honestly, before the Rockefeller, because they light it on December 4th. Can you believe today is December 1st? Not to completely like sidetrack, but it's literally December 1st today. I cannot believe it.
We're in like a time warp. Is that what it's called? Like, I just saw a TikTok yesterday, and they were like, the seasons just seem all off. Like, we had Thanksgiving on such a weird day this year, and like
it was late. Yeah,
and like Josh didn't have the next day off, which I've never heard of that. I mean, I don't know. I'm not in corporate America just yet, but like
I heard so many people this year in corporate America were like did not get the normal amount of days off that they should, which is like bizarre.
It's so weird. And so it was just like a different vibe, and like we messed up and put up our tree like way before Thanksgiving. I've never done that. I think that's why I feel in such a time warp, is like, we put our tree up like the second week of November. I don't know. I
love that though, because with Thanksgiving being later this year, that means we have like less weeks to celebrate Christmas, you know?
That's true.
I'm here for it. I'm here for like literally like the clock strikes midnight on Halloween. It's Christmas to me. Like I still hold space for Thanksgiving, but like it is immediately Christmas. So I love that for you. But yeah, it's like the countdown is on. We have 31 days to like start manifesting and writing down our goals and like getting ready for the new year. I can't believe it. I do love this time of the year. And my birthday. It's officially my birthday month. Oh my God. It's officially my birth month. I'm definitely a birth month kind of girl. A birth week, a birthday, a birth month. Honestly, if I could get away with a birth year, I would. But yeah, it's like very important to me. So very excited for that. Crazy.
Well, okay. I think that we should jump into the podcast because I'm actually really excited.
Okay, I'm excited to hear yours. Well, I don't have a single teaser for what yours are.
What are give me like a quick summary or like a quick vibe so we can figure out what to dive into first.
Yes. So I'm recapping my favorite podcast ever, The Toast.
Yeah, I know.
And we're going to be talking about one of the stories they talked about, and it has a Wicked theme to it because Sam and I did go and see Wicked in New York. So that is my first podcast on premiere day. That we like can't fly over that. Fun fact. Like we were in New York City and saw Wicked on premiere day. But then next I want to talk about obviously the Tana and Trisha oh my goodness, what is their Loveline. Loveline dropped their first podcast episode, the Trisha Paytas and Tana Mongeau podcast together. So I have to recap that one. But yeah, what are your two for the week?
Okay, so I went back to my girl psychology in your 20s. I don't know why I went to this episode. It just gravitated to me. But it was maintaining long distance friendships in our 20s.
Don't make me cry.
I know. And then I went to the Viall files because my mom and I went on a Salt Lake City themed trip for Real Housewives. And I'm going to be honest, me and my mom went a little hard on Bronwyn. And I saw that he did an episode, and it's going deeper with Bronwyn Newport. And I wanted to just see her as a person because you and I have both, like, not even deep diving into it, but you and I both have talked about how people in general, and me specifically, I'll own up to it, when we're watching reality TV, you mix it in with every other show. So like me and Josh are watching Gossip Girl and we're watching reality TV. It becomes like normal to see them as characters. And so I wanted to watch the Bronwyn episode to see what she's like without the edit of reality TV, because we all know that happens.
You can get a bad or different edit.
Different edits.
Totally.
And it's not to say that reality TV can't be true in some parts. That's what people get mixed up, is there are some things that have truth to it in reality TV. But also reality TV is about reactions. And I wanted to see Bronwyn without the reactions, without the, echo chamber? Like, I wanted to listen to her as a person. And so I kind of went outside of my scope just to listen to it, to see what she's like.
Okay, this is so fun because, I'm not caught up on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And so when you like asked me my opinion about her before you went on your trip. I was like, honestly, I don't know. I'm in like the middle of episode 1, but today, after we get done recording, I'm binge watching the season.
You have to watch it.
I'm excited to hear your take and give me a teaser. Okay, I kind of feel like I'm sorry, I may have to take it away with the toast one because we need to talk about Wicked, and I think you're gonna really love how they recapped it. Okay, so first I have to give obviously let me get a little background on just like the toast in general, but the toast is my favorite podcast ever, and it honestly is like a huge inspiration to me when I think about the kind of podcaster I want to be. The Toast, essentially, they have a podcast episode that drops every single morning. The Fast 5 stories you need to know before you wake up and take a bite out of your morning toast. They used to be called the Morning Toast. They rebranded to just the Toast. But it's the best. They recap all things in terms of headlining news, very much into pop culture, but just like buzzworthy stories. But I love it because it's a daily episode. And so, you can watch on YouTube, you can watch just audio only, but like they're an integral part of like my everyday. I'm a Patreon subscriber. I literally pay to get more of their content. I love them. And so I'm going to recap the toast. The title is called The Surreal Housewives of Beverly Hills. So clearly they had a story about Beverly Hills that day, but it's the November 20th episode. And so out of their 5 stories for the day, I'm going to talk about story number 2. And the story was they love to do essentially like almost casting news. So Page 6 dropped an article of who was almost casted for Wicked instead of who we know was casted. And it was really interesting. So I've got a couple points to talk about. So Page 6 reported that Wicked almost looked a lot different. Stephen Daldry who was originally going to be the director. I'm not familiar with Stephen's work, but we now know Jonathan Chu was the director, which I think was brilliant. After watching the movie, I feel like I've now dove into Jonathan Chu's just like all of his prior work, and it makes perfect sense. I mean, he did the Justin Bieber movie. Like, let's be so for real, right? Who do you think was going to be Elphaba? Like, do you have any guesses of who was going to be it if it was not Cynthia Erivo?
Okay, I'm going to be honest before we jump into that. I do know the guesses for Glinda. But
you do? Okay.
I don't know. I don't think I remember. Oh, wait. Yes. I heard a rumor about Lady Gaga.
Yes.
Is that
Lady Gaga?
What you're gonna say? Okay. I did see that, but I didn't know that was Page 6.
Yes.
Okay.
And they dropped the other director, Steven, who he was going to cast as Bach.
Oh, okay.
Shawn Mendes.
Okay. I saw that, but for Fierro. I didn't know that was Bach.
For Bach. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And okay, here is what I think is so interesting is like, you think of like Lady Gaga has had a successful career in acting.
Yeah.
Like American Horror Story, right? Like I can understand why but to me, I think that's such that's easy. Like that's just like easy to throw her in. And like imagine her and Shawn Mendes. Like I love that they so in the toast, Jackie and Claudia, they're huge Wicked fans. Born and raised in New York City, like been to, many Broadway shows. But I love and really agree with Claudia and Jackie's take is like they tapped into the theater world versus the pop star world for who they ended up casting, minus Ariana. Like every single one of the people that was casted in the Wicked movie comes from Broadway.
Ariana is from Broadway, though.
Is she originally from Broadway?
She's from Broadway. She was
okay. So I didn't know that.
She was in 13. Which is okay. Is that what I believe it's called 13. She was a star.
Okay, I feel like her voice, obviously she's came out, in the press saying how she had been training months leading up to the audition and getting more classically Broadway, trained with her vocal lessons. Yeah. But in general, I just think that's so interesting. But they did release a couple of more who auditioned for Glinda, right? Okay. Yes. Amanda Seyfried.
Yes.
Did you hear that one?
Yes. Yeah.
I kind of I could see it. I just have to say, the way the movie, like, I have zero notes on who was casted. The only one, however, Nessa Rose, only because she just pisses me off. I think her character was like perfect, but she just pisses me off. Like, nobody could have played it, and I could have like loved and accepted it.
I know.
So yeah, there's a couple more. Dove Cameron.
Yes,
for Glinda.
We talked about this in New York.
We did talk about Dove Cameron.
I did not know who she was until I started seeing this stuff getting released that she auditioned, and I saw that she's actually played Kristen Chenoweth's daughter multiple times and movies and things like that. So she played in Hairspray. I don't know the character names, but like the other side, the mom and the daughter that were like horrible to the main character. I don't remember her name, but they were in Hairspray when Ariana Grande was in Hairspray as Penelope.
Oh, okay.
And so I saw that there is interviews, and Kristen Chenoweth is, oh my gosh, she's like my Dolly Parton, to be honest. Like, she could do no wrong. I love her so much. She's so talented. She's so humble too. And so Kristen had said that she wanted Dove, but people tried to catch her in like a PR, like, oh, well, I thought you wanted Dove. And she always is like, I think Dove is a great choice, but I think Ariana is a great choice, and she always handles it with such grace. Like, she talks about how she met Ariana Grande in her
like dressing room,
right? And they have a picture together. And so I did see the Dove Cameron one. I think Dove Cameron's voice is so beautiful. I mean, she is so theater trained, same as Ariana Grande, but I think that would have been great. But I also, like, I'm gonna be honest, I think that Ariana Grande needs to be defended sometimes when it comes to Wicked, because some people are like, oh, she isn't hitting her high notes as well. Her opera needs training and things like that. I've seen singers come out and say that. I think that when she said, I'm going to take good care of her, she meant it. And she analyzed it. And maybe I'm just being annoying, but what person they're already an international pop star, goes through months of music training, months of acting. She's already done all the acting. She's already done all the singing. She wanted to take care of this role because it meant so much to her. I think she deserved it.
I think Ariana deserves all of the flowers. She did amazing. She really did amazing. And I've not seen any artists coming out and saying that about her. Like, they're just wrong. Yeah. Like, I feel like the movie has gotten all the flowers it deserves. Like, I really am rarely seeing any negative feedback of the movie. Like, rightfully so. I'm not like a music theater girl. I did not feel like super passionate. I've known about Wicked. I've always loved Wizard of Oz is one of my favorite movies ever. Wizard of Oz, Titanic, and what do I usually say is another favorite movie of mine? I feel like those are like the two that I usually like always say are my favorite movies. But I think all of them are giving all the flowers they deserve. But okay, another one for Glinda was Renee Rapp. She auditioned.
Yes, and I saw that she did an interview about that too, and she did. She agreed that Ariana
deserved it wholeheartedly and is the perfect for the role. Okay, I'm gonna list off a couple of more. These are all alleged for Elphaba. Okay. Leah Michele, right? That's alleged though. Anna Kendrick, Ariana DeBose, and this one was funny, Jessie J, which I could see. Those are all alleged of who tried out, but I could actually really see Jessie J. Okay, Firo, we know perfectly casted was Jonathan Bailey, but guess who auditioned for Firo? You're gonna get a kick out of this.
Who?
Nick and Joe Jonas.
Oh, I did see their interview. I saw that.
Crazy. Yes. That is crazy. I could never, but yeah, so all that to say, I love the toast. They do this very often with just movies of like almost casted, but I would be devastated, heartbroken, and remiss, which is one of the toast sayings, to not also talk about the fact that Claudia this week announced her pregnancy. I was in New York. It was the day before you came to New York, I believe, because I was in New York a couple days before Sam came. I was on the subway, and on the subway you like rarely have service, but I did, and I was just like scrolling on Instagram, and I swiped up to refresh, and I saw Claudia dropped a link to her Patreon and announcement that she was pregnant, and like I had tears in my eyes. Like, I obviously know I have like a very interesting parasocial relationship with them. I have talked to them in DMs. They have reposted and posted my TikTok on their like feed before on their Instagram reels. I remember it was literally 2 years ago on New Year's Day. I posted something just like talking about New Year's goals and the toast. And I just like, I adore them so much, but I've never been more happy for like an internet person in my life. I just adore them, and I felt like I was literally having a baby after her announcement. So, zero notes. I love who was casted besides Nessa, but her character just pissed me off. I think also, one last thing to say, I also think Jeff Goldblum was perfectly casted. Like, I actually, like, I look back and like, when I think about the movie, he was just like a perfect wizard. Like, I really think it was so well casted. So
it would have been a completely different movie if anybody else was replaced.
I know.
Think the chemistry was unmatched, and it's so beautiful. I can't imagine, in all respect to all these other artists, I can't imagine it any other way. And I do worry, and I know that people worried with Ariana it being more pop, but I do worry with some of these other people if things would have been more modern, more pop, and not true to the story. Yeah. And that's just speculation. It hasn't happened. It's not going to happen.
Right.
But they took such good care of it. I mean, I wasn't even like a Wicked fan. It wasn't by choice, but I hadn't seen the musical or anything like that. And so to me, it was just I was so touched by everything. All the emotions, you could just tell that this movie meant everything to them. And it was beautiful. Just beautiful. I just loved it. I loved it so much. And seeing it in New York, we got to go to the Times Square AMC, and we had our big thing of popcorn and our big Diet Coke, and it was just so magical. That was the first time I haven't like checked my Apple Watch to see the time on a movie.
Never. And it was a long movie. It was like long.
I'm one of those, like, I'm like, oh, okay, how much? Like, even if it's a good movie, I'm like, okay, how much longer? And I didn't check my phone once.
Not a single time. In Defying Gravity, in the musical, I believe it's like a 9-minute long, like from the start of Defying Gravity to the end with the riff. And I believe in the movie it was like over 12 minutes, almost 13. And so they drug it out even, and like I wanted more. I was like, give me more. I'm like, I don't want the riff to happen yet, but I can't wait for the riff. Like, it was perfection. So yeah. Okay. I want to hear your episode.
Okay. I think that would be a good transition into Bronwyn.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. So we have talked about this, Taylor, about how my parasocial relationships are a little different than yours.
Teensy bit. And maybe explain that. Maybe explain why.
Well, okay. I got into Real Housewives in 2 years ago, I believe. I started watching Beverly Hills.
Late in the game, never too late. It's never too late, but a little late in the game.
Late. I started off watching Beverly Hills. Yep. And then transitioned into Vanderpump when the whole transition happened with Brandy and Sheena. And so anyways, my friends came over a year ago, and we told them we were watching Beverly Hills, and they were like, oh, you have to watch Salt Lake. It's the best one of the franchise. So me and Josh were like, we're going to fight this. There's no way. Ended up watching Salt Lake, falling in love. All of our favorite people in the beginning were completely different than our favorite people now. And so my mom and I planned a trip to go to Salt Lake City, Utah, only based on the show. And we went to only places that they ate. We went to Beauty Lab for Heather's company. We went to Meredith Mark's jewelry store. And then the necklace that Jen Shaw, her necklace was taken by the FBI. What was it? What's it called when like they take it because she owes money?
Right. I have no idea what it's called, but yes.
But she had a snowflake necklace. We went and got obviously the cheaper version, but the almost exact replica from the same company, Baranoff Jewelries. And it was so special. We got Vita cocktails at Lisa's favorite place, and Lisa reposted it, and it was just like the highlight of our trip, because we got a little note, a handwritten note from Heather, because we went and visited Beauty Lab and she wasn't there. And then later on, me and my mom figured out we met her daughter. while she was there, and we had no idea. So her daughter was there.
Wait, like one of the younger one, the redhead?
Heather, no, she's blonde. It's Heather's daughter. I believe her name is Ashley.
Because she has 3. The oldest one is in school, and then there's a middle one, and then the younger one is the redhead.
So the middle one is the one that we met. And we were complimenting because her lips looked really good, and my mom wanted to get a lip flip. And she was the sweetest girl ever. And we were just chatting. We had no idea. We left, and then my mom was like, oh my God, that's Ashley. That's her daughter.
Oh my God, no way.
So it was so special because we got to meet her. But anyways, that was one of my viral TikToks that's going viral right now. And it's so funny because all the comments are like, you're actually insane for this. But I don't
insane for planning a trip around Real Housewives?
Yes, a lot of people were, well, I think a lot of the funny part is we went to Salt Lake City, Utah. Out of all places, like we watched Beverly Hills. Why didn't we just go to Beverly Hills and go to like Sur and stuff like that?
Salt Lake is like so like I think Salt Lake. I've taken a specific vacation to Salt Lake. One of my best college friends lives there, so we were doing like a hometown tour. But like Salt Lake is like a beautiful place to go in Park City. You're surrounded by like national parks too.
Yes,
like
it was so fun. But like, I mean, obviously, I felt like a lot of the comments were just all in good faith. They were like, "You're insane. This is hilarious."
Yeah, totally.
It was so fun. But anyways, on the trip, we watched all the episodes together just because we wanted to be completely caught up. It was released when we were there, so we were like, we have to be caught up. And honestly, I know that me and my mom had a different perception of Bronwyn than a lot of people. Okay. And we have been on the wrong side of history before. I did not like Lisa at first in Salt Lake, and now I'm obsessed with her.
And let me just say, like, baby gorgeous, I have been a Lisa stan since day one. And when you and Josh would talk about Lisa, like, it would kill me. And so when you slowly started to go to the other side, like, best day of my life, truly.
I mean, we've definitely been on the wrong side before, for sure. And I think it's just like, we like the messy people. And so anyways, me and my mom, we just hadn't really understood Bronwyn, and I do think that we were going on Heather's side. If you're kind of caught up, she is worried about outsiders coming into their circle. With everything that's happened with them, it makes sense.
Rightfully so.
And I think that's like where it comes in with parasocial and like perspectives in life. Like, I can see why Heather doesn't want a new person in the group. It makes sense. Yeah. So anyways, I watched, it's called Going Deeper with Bronwyn Newport, and it's the Viall Files. And it was actually a really great interview. And something that I respect about Bronwyn is she was the one that brought up controversies. And I respect that because a lot of the time people go on interviews and it's only the good. And that's all they want promoted. And I really liked that she went in and was like, a lot of people are bashing her relationship right now. And she was able to say, you know what? And I find it funny because she watches the episodes. And I know some housewives in the reunion, they go, no, I don't watch the episode. I don't want to care. Bronwyn talks about the play-by-plays. She's like, when I saw that scene, my mouth dropped. And I think that's so cute. I think that's
I do too.
I think that's so funny.
The controversy of her relationship is because of the age gap, correct?
It's that, and then the power imbalance. People feel like he is overbearing and controlling, and that
do you see that in the show? Because again, I'm not caught up.
So in the show, he tells her to stop talking, or he like, it's just kind of the way that he says it, but also like Josh and I have been together forever, and when I'm acting out, he won't say it in front of other people unless like we're joking or unless it's like really, really close friends. He never would say stop talking.
No, totally.
He would never say that to me. But Bronwyn kind of revealed that she kind of asks him to do that because she's like me, where she doesn't know when she's doing something wrong sometimes. Sometimes I genuinely have no idea unless someone sits me down and says, Sam, that wasn't nice, or that wasn't like whatever,
socially acceptable.
Yeah,
Or like I remember in like New York, you made a comment to me this weekend. You were like, oh, see, if Josh were here, he would tell me to shut up and like you're being too much. I thought that was so funny. But like, yeah, it's like beautiful to like have like a safe person in your life who can like you're like kind of keep you accountable, I guess.
Yes. And so she addressed it, and she even said that they watched the show together, and she was able to later on tell him like, wow, I can see why people don't like that. Maybe address it this way. And so I kind of respect it. I know that she's in a lot of heat right now for the way he talks to her, which is kind of crazy that she's in trouble for the way a man acts. But I respect it and I understand it because they have their own boundaries and their own relationship. And if she asks him to be honest with her, then that's kind of what's been happening.
Totally.
I don't know. And I really liked because she said that the producers and like them, they decide kind of the role that they play in the whole series. And obviously don't have to stick to it, but she kind of said like, I just wanted to be authentic. And so all of her moments for her were not produced. She was like, those are all my immediate reactions. She had no idea that the whole stuff with her daughter was going to come up and about the adoptions, or not adoption, sorry. Her ex-boyfriend or whatever, like all the stuff that came up about it was very natural, very like she had no idea it was going to be brought up. And I mean, I respect her now. I actually really, of course, like, I don't know. I forget sometimes that these people are people, and like she made a comment against Lisa on it, and it made me really, really mad. And
what did she say?
So Nick was insinuating that Lisa isn't as rich as she portrays it, but Bronwyn goes, I don't disagree. And I was just kind of like, I don't know. I would hope that's like sarcasm, because if I was on a podcast and said that about you, or you said that about me, I would be really upset.
That's been like an ongoing kind of like trope that I feel like the ladies have been alluding to last season. It started to come up, trying to be like, get the financial papers on Vita Tequila. And it makes me wonder, because like sometimes that is sprinkled in, that is like an ongoing thread in all of the franchises, right? Like people bring that up often.
Theme. They're Real Housewives. They're supposed to be spoiled rich, and but I also like, I think of our dynamic and the way that I tease you and you tease me. I wonder if it was just like her being funny. Like,
and did Lisa and Bronwyn, they're like friends, right? That's how she's friends. On the show.
On the show, they do have trouble, but they have been friends a really, really long time. And so it really is this balance of like, we don't know who they are. Bronwyn could have meant it as a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, there's drama.
I guarantee it'll come up. I guarantee it'll come up in the next season. It always does.
I'm sure.
And that's what is so interesting about podcasting, is because like we get live interviews while the season is going, and we're always backed up by what? It's usually like a 10 to 12 month turnaround time, right?
I'm
for
sure it will
Real Housewives.
In the reunion in 6 months.
It'll come up in the reunion. Yeah,
it takes
totally.
Time, but I just like, it's such a weird balance. Like, did she mean it as a joke? Was it to be shady? Like, you and I mess around all the time, but I really feel like that's kind of crossing a line to be like, oh, I don't disagree.
I think so too. I think that's crossing a line as a friend, for sure.
I think it's a little catty. And so that's why I would say this podcast kind of made me rethink parasocial relationships, trying to understand and dissect their friendships. I think that's why Housewives, it's so easy and so hard, is because sometimes it's just in the background and their fighting is just hilarious. And then sometimes you might get offended. I love Lisa. I think she's the funniest, like, iconic herself person. And it is hard to not be like, I'm going to defend her. She doesn't know me. I don't know her. But like when Bronwyn said that, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe you say that about your friend. Yeah. So anyways, talk about parasocial. All that to say, let's move into Trisha and Tana.
Let's move in. Okay, I have so many notes. We're gonna next talk about the Not Loveline episode 1.
Wait,
I mean,
did you watch this on YouTube when they
I
were
did not.
like,
I listened.
Listened? Okay. I just wanted to hear that detail. Okay.
Yes, important detail because they did talk about how they're like getting all like dressed up.
Okay.
I go back and forth between being like a YouTuber and audio only girly. But this was my like as I was running errands.
Okay.
Was listening to this one. But episode 1 title, Getting Dumped Over Text, How Many Red Flags Are Too Many? My first note about the podcast, girls, we may need to add like a character limit to the titles. That was an insane title. But anyways, so episode 1, I have been I have to say this every time somebody brings up Trisha. Like, I feel like I am so protective over her because I have been an OG follower of Trisha, blndsundoll4mj on YouTube. I have been following her since like before she was
Blonde Sundoll.
Blonde Sundoll. Sorry, yeah, Blonde Sundoll.
I'm an OG fan.
She spelled it weird. What did I say?
She said blind.
Because it was like it didn't have it. It was BLND. Girl, BLND. Okay, I just said it as it's spelled. I've been following her well before like 20K YouTube subscribers. Like, I think I remember her going from like the 3 digits to crossing the line to 4 digit. Literally love her so much. Okay, so my first point is I kind of want to dissect like the name and like the podcast theme. So I didn't know this that Not Loveline like used to be a radio show with Dr. Drew. Basically the whole idea behind it is like Tana and Trisha are not experts. Like, they should maybe not be giving advice, but they're in this kind of like wholesome era that we have seen, we have seen them through the trenches. We have seen them break up after controversy, after cancellation, after notes app apology, screenshot on their Instagram stories, like one after the other for like literally a decade now. Yeah. And now they're the ones in the seat giving advice. And I think it's so funny because Trisha's she's very a nostalgic girly. So she wants to go back to like the, giving real takes, the late night talk show vibes, the Dr. Drew, the calling in. And it's like they both are going to continue to maintain both of their separate podcasts, right? But this is like an opportunity for them to connect with their fans. They just like don't really have the time, or their other podcasts aren't the medium to do that. So basically listeners can call in, leave a voicemail, and tell them a story, and they'll give you advice, right? So one called in and like basically asked for like, what is the hottest red flag that you can think of? And their commentary was so funny because like both Trisha and Tana were both like, I don't know, red flags are like kind of hot. Like there's some red flags. Like it was just like, it's so obvious they are both like such toxic girls, but like they finally found, love them. Tana thought she was like guys who have like an X tattooed on them, like an X's name, because she's like, that means they're passionate, and that means now they're gonna be passionate about me. And Trisha like totally disagreed with that. She was like, absolutely not. Like, I don't want this man to ever have loved like a bitch before me. And Tana, like, this was like one of their sound bites, like dropping PR for the podcast episode. An ex of Tana's got her name tattooed on her. I didn't know this. And then after like a fight 2 weeks later, when they broke up, he got it like a cover-up tattoo of a bullet, and the Instagram caption was like, dodged a bullet. I thought that was so funny. Like,
I would never recover. I would never recover from that.
What a creative way to cover up a tattoo, but also like, yeah, imagine being like the ex, like Tana, like jaw dropped.
Oh my God.
Isn't that so funny? But yeah, I thought that was funny. Trisha talked about how when her and Moses first started dating, that she would like go over to his house and like he didn't have any pets, but like over time he started basically like taking in alley cats. And I thought you would thought that this would be like so funny because you're a cat girl. It's cute, but she was just like, this is such a red flag. Like, I hate cats. And like this guy I'm dating like keeps taking in like stray cats and like taking care of them. She was like, it was like such a red flag to me. So yeah, I thought
you might
that was
do
like,
that to women. I could do that.
Literally, he like did that. I think she might have made a joke too. Like she was a stray cat and he like took her in and took care of her. Like
I could see her point of being like, okay, yeah, what if he does that to women?
And he did. He took in Trisha, a stray cat, and like so funny. But and then I think what would be funny would be for us to talk about like what's our favorite Trisha and Tana drama. Like I've got a list of several of them, so I can like kick us off with the idea.
Go for it.
One of my favorite controversies of Trisha, this was back when she was like just a YouTube girl, but I remember, and you know my obsession with pentatonics, okay? I've seen them like almost front row on the floor. I love pentatonics.
And you look like their type of person.
I am like the exact like demographic of being a pentatonics fan, and I know it. Like zero shame. Zero. She was dating one of the lead singers, the guy with the long hair. He's no longer in pentatonics. But she was dating him, and they went through a breakup, and she blasted him on her YouTube channel. Like I remember video after video crying on that iconic famous bathroom floor, and it was like she dropped probably at least a total of 5 episodes, and they were like almost instantaneous live. 0 cuts, 0 editing, bashing him 50 minutes straight, and I was locked in watching every minute of them. I love her. I miss that era of YouTube.
I'm a chicken nugget.
I'm a chicken nugget. Like
I just love her.
Trisha is just, she's everything to me.
I just always remember her Survivor episode when she chose the pizza over being eliminated. And
Big Brother, like, Big Brother.
Or Big Brother, sorry, Big Brother. And I'm like, that is literally
me. Like me core.
Like she literally was probably one of the most hated people in the house, and she was like, I could care less. I want my pizza. Or like her driving around in her pink G-Wagon and like people knocking on her window constantly in videos, and her being like, can I help you? And like it's like, Trisha, everyone knows that's your car. Like,
yes,
that's, of course they're knocking on your window when you're parking in the parking lot of a McDonald's. Like, I don't know. Her mukbang era. I just remember iconic. When she was going from TV show to TV show, when she was doing My Strange Addiction for Tanning and the fastest talker in the world, and she went on Ellen and she went on X Factor.
Yes.
She has so many eras. Yes.
So many good ones.
Okay,
I mean, so I think my favorite probably ever was back in the day of her dating like Bella Thorne and Maud's son. Like that was so just the drama, I think also to me, like I miss like the whole Bella Thorne being a Disney star. Like I was a little too old to like, I feel like I wasn't watching Disney anymore, but like that's what I knew her for being a Disney star. Yeah. And then to have that world merge with my love of internet culture, and to see Bella Thorne in like Tana YouTube vlogs, like it was just like my worlds are colliding in a way I never thought would. Like it was crazy. Bella Thorne like turning into this like definitely had, you know, a typical Disney child star going through an absolute like psychotic break.
Very hypersexualized and all the things. Yes.
Completely. Yep. That was one of my favorites. But like obviously TanaCon. Like I was also a huge Shane Dawson fan growing up, and so when he went through the documentary style and like did a breakdown of TanaCon, like I remember being there live, refreshing Twitter, being like, what is going on at TanaCon? Iconic internet lore, and it's one of those like you had to be there moments. Like we'll never be able to like replay the way that those internet cancellation dramas felt ever again.
Well, I just remember in the documentary, the manager, like them constantly fighting with him, and like his like
where is he now?
Segway thing. What was it called? I just remember
he would ride the Segway.
Right, he was riding the Segway. Like that's what I remember, and I just remember like everything that could go wrong went wrong, and it was so. It's sad, but it was so funny because she like had the best intentions but also the worst intentions. She
was
wanted,
also what, like 16 or 17 at the time, like truly
she wanted to destroy another big brand, and but she also wanted it for her fans. Like it was just like, I think that just explains Tana is like, she is so wishy-washy. Like,
the biggest flake the internet has ever known, and she'll own up to it. She did run on time to film though, and Trisha pointed that out. She was like, who would have thought Tana ran on time? And that's how you know she's in a whole other stage of life than we've ever seen Tana in before. But all of that to say, she did also make a funny joke about like not fucking this up. Like, we know those two, like every relationship, right? They've messed up almost every business relationship, business partner, internet friend. And she made a joke of like, I better not fuck this up or else I'm gonna have to like move to Nebraska. And me being from Nebraska, I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, Tana was just like giving her praise and being like, you know, we've known Tana has always been the biggest fan of like Trish. And so like the fact they're working together, I truly know in my heart of heart, like they will not fuck this relationship up. Like they will end on good terms if the podcast does not go on. But yeah, all of that to say, I will be tuning in every week because this is just like, again, my internet worlds colliding. So yeah, okay, I want to hear your last episode for the week.
Okay, we're gonna move kind of like, I guess, a little sad. I think it was because we went to New York and I was just like, I'm really gonna miss you, and we talked about that. Like, we don't really get emotional, but like, I'm really gonna miss you when you move. And so I was listening to Psychology of Your 20s. It's episode 250, Maintaining Long Distance Friendships in Our 20s. And I think also we talked about that in New York, how you have these girl trips that you go on once a year with your girlfriends, and you all prioritize it, and it's really special. And so I guess I wanted to go into the psychology of it and how each relationship is different. I will say I don't necessarily agree with the podcast, and so I think that's what's a little interesting. Is I think she should have started it with the end. So in the end, she talks about every person has three, well, if you like having friends, every person has three different tiers of friends. And I guess they're not tiers, but she calls them like galaxies, which I thought was an interesting term. And you have your inner circle, and then you have like the ones that you're semi close to, and then the ones that just like kind of gravitate around you, like kind of like the moon. Like they're there when you need them, but you're not that close. And she talks about how they are galaxies, and so people can jump between each one. And so you have your friends that you might, in this very point in time right now, are the bestest of friends. And unfortunately, someone might move. You're in a different stage in your life. Whatever it is, that person might bump to 2 or bump to 3, bump to the edge of your galaxy. But then you have the innermost galaxy. And like I thought it was really interesting because she's talking about like, it doesn't mean that there's a fallout, and it doesn't mean that it was a conversation, which I thought was really interesting because like I've thought about it too, and I don't think I've had like conversation with friends that maybe are long distance that I'm not as close to. It was just kind of like a mutual understanding. You live in a different state. We both went out of state for college. You don't live at your home. I mean, you live in Austin, but like you don't live back in your hometown. And I don't go back to Arizona frequently, where I went to high school and college, and like I have friendships at different stages of my life, and there are some that are still friends with me and I would love to see them when I go back, and there's some that aren't, and that's pretty simple. And I think it's kind of hard nowadays, and I wish there was more psychology studies about this, how like social media puts an imprint on this, and like how it's very different than back in the day. And so anyways, she brings up an interesting point, and this is what I disagree with. Oh no, my laptop's about to die. But she brings up an interesting point about how friendships, and she was like, you have to know, to be considered good friends, what is going wrong with your friend's life and what's going right. And that's what determines if you're a good friend or not. And I don't know if maybe I'll have a different viewpoint later on, but there are people that I consider close in my life that don't know that.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay. And she was kind of like bashing on it and saying like, if you have a long distance friend and you want to maintain that friendship when they move, you should be calling them every week or once a month. And I just don't know if I agree with that. I think that it's a great idea. but
it's great in theory, but in practice, is it realistic?
Yeah.
I love that you brought this up. This sounds like a very interesting episode for sure to listen to, and very, very top of mind for us.
Yeah.
I think my biggest worry is like, why would I move away from like the such great friends I moved to Austin to find? I absolutely agree, like the galaxy thing. Tinks, she talks about like medium tier friends.
Absolutely.
I know people like you and like Kylie are like my actual like best friends, who it's like I consider you the same way I consider my girlfriends from college. Like your life are friends. Like we're not getting rid of each other even when I move. And that's because when you just like know someone's gonna be a part of your life for forever. Like I was one of your bridesmaids. Like I know we are, like, I consider you a best friend, but like I think to know like what's going wrong, I think I maybe agree with that. Like I feel like my closest friends, I do know what is like deeply affecting them in a negative way and positive way, because that's just what we talk about. I do like really feel like I understand like what your deepest grievances are. Like what's going on with you with work, as an example, that we've talked about the podcast. Like I know your anxiety, like you know about maybe what's affecting me right now, my like OCD. But I think like the best way, Sam, you and I can like maintain our friendship when we move is like sending each other like random voice notes, or like sending each other a picture like, oh my god, I just like went to the grocery store and saw like you know, something that made me think of you, like things like that. Like
I'm
when you
so
drive
glad
by,
you mentioned that, because she talks about it.
She talks about that. Okay. Okay, I love that.
She did mention that. Yeah, I just thought it was interesting because like I do, Haley, we do go back and forth. Like unfortunately, sometimes it's 3 or 4 months since we are able to talk, and it is in the moment where I'm like, how are you doing? And we kind of like vent and we're like, this is what's going on. I'm so sorry I haven't talked to you. But she also did bring up a good point of like, you don't have to apologize for being human. You don't have to say, I'm sorry I wasn't able to talk to you these 3-4 months, because it happens. And so I did like that you brought up like the mention of a text here and there about like, this made me think of you. But I did think, I loved that she brought up a note. Nowadays is really special. I got something in the mail,
like a handwritten note.
So you sent something in the mail to me last year, and I still have it hanging over here because I love that, and I think it's so thoughtful. And so it was definitely an interesting podcast. Psychology of Your 20s is very interesting, and I don't know, long distance besties, I think everyone views them differently, and that's what's good and bad about long distance besties. Is some people might have a different idea, and I think like that's the difference in all of my friendships. Is like with you, I would definitely be sending like, this made me think of you texts. Like we would probably be texting and FaceTiming and calling very, very frequently. But like with some of my friends back in college, that just like, or like back in Arizona, that's just not the reality anymore. And I
don't think I disagree with you, not to like, on the knowing the good and the bad that's happening. I guess there are some of my long distance friends that I don't like. I like to think I know, but like that's just because I know them. I know, you know, one of my friends runs more anxious and like is very type A and like prioritizes work. And so every time we catch up, there's some issue going on at work. And so anytime I reach out and we do catch up, I always make sure to ask like, hey, how are we feeling about work? But like, I guess, when you're long distance, you lose that day to day, and like, there, you know, maybe, I don't know, you see each other through different phases of life, and it's like, oh, maybe she does have, you know, different grievances now that I don't topically know like right away. But it's interesting. I'm very dedicated to maintaining our long distance friendship and doing the fun little like, I just thought of you texts. I think that's the best way to keep a friendship, you know, like there's nothing better than like making someone know that you're thinking of them, right? I'm gonna wrap it up because I think Sam's laptop is in the middle of dying. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. I think this definitely gave you a little bit of a more insider on, 1, my favorite podcasts, 2, again, just talking about like the friendship Sam and I have and how it's ever going to be evolving, Wicked, our girls trip, and talking about our favorite thing being pop culture. So okay, all that to say, thanks for listening and goodbye.